Hi everybody, my name is Jessie Lane Lee and I'm a holistic nutritionist. Today I'm here to show you how to make Chaga Infused pho, which is so delicious using Nutridom Chaga chunks. This is such a yummy meal, full of nutrients, really warming, and we make it all the time for guests because it's always such a crowd pleaser. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is make our broth, and we're making it from scratch, so we're not using anything from containers. So the first thing I do is I add onion. And since we're going to strain this broth later, we don't have to do like a perfect job cutting. You're just trying to make it look chunky enough that it'll get all of those nutrients out of there. I love adding onion to the broth because it's gonna simmer for so long. We're going to extract all of the nutrients out of this onion and the flavor too. Something people usually don't know is that onions are actually high in vitamin C. We always think of oranges when we talk vitamin C, but onions have a good amount of vitamin C as well. So I'm just trying to get the last little bit of the skin off. Vitamin C, as so many people know, is really great for the immune system, but it has other health benefits. It helps increase collagen production. So we talk so much about collagen supplementation, which is fantastic, but we can also increase our vitamin C to boost the body's natural collagen production. Okay, so we've got the onion in there. The next thing I add is ginger. I love ginger. It is warming, it's delicious, and it's one of my favorite spices. So I'm just gonna, again, roughly slice this ginger, and it's gonna give us some really good anti-inflammatory effects as well. And then the last one is garlic. So I'm gonna crush the garlic and then just remove the skin. Garlic is so good for the immune system. It contains lots of antibacterial, antimicrobial, and anti-everything properties. So it's gonna be really helpful, especially with cold and flu season. So we'll just dump that in there roughly. And the second one, you can chop it if you want, but I find when I crush it, it comes apart good enough that we're gonna be able to extract the flavor from the garlic and the nutrients as well. Now we move on to our chaga. I love Nutridom Chaga. It's 100% Canadian, grown in northern Quebec and handpicked by experts. It has such great health benefits. One of them is its high antioxidant value, so it's gonna help keep us looking beautiful because it battles those free radicals. It also contains beta-glucans, which have an immunomodulating effect, so it's gonna help support our immune system. And then the last thing about chaga is that it's an adaptogen, so it helps us cope with stressful situations. So I put in 2 medium-sized chunks. You could put in 3 if they're little, 4 if they're really little, up to you. Okay, now the spices. We've got fennel here, which gives such a nice licoricey flavor that I love. Cardamom, another really nice aromatic spice. Cinnamon, because who doesn't love cinnamon? Star anise, it's so beautiful. It has a licoricey undertone that's really delicious in the pho. And then finally, 4 little cloves. Once you've got all that in there, you're gonna add some salt. I like to eyeball it, but it's about 1/2 teaspoon. And pepper as well. You could do whole peppercorns or you can just grind the pepper like I am. Whatever you have available to you. So once all that goodness is in there, you're gonna add about 6 cups of water. And you should make sure that everything is nice and covered. Once you have that, you're going to bring it to the stove and we're gonna bring this to a boil and then simmer it for a long time, at least 4 hours, but seriously, the longer the better because you're gonna be able to extract more nutrients from the ingredients and especially the chaga, and you'll extract a lot more of that spice flavor too. So I'll bring it over here. Did it go? It smells so good in here. Our broth has been simmering for 5 hours and it's ready to strain. So you'll see it has a gorgeous, dark, deep color, and I'm just pouring it into another pot through a small sieve, slowly, and trying to make the least amount of mess possible. So once you've strained it, I recommend taking the small sieve and just letting everything cool in there, because remember, you can use those chaga chunks again, so do not throw them out with the onions and other stuff in there. So it's pretty hot now, but we want to get this back up to a boil. So I'm going to turn this one on. Perfect. And we'll let that come to a boil. while that's happening, we get our other ingredients ready that need a little bit more cooking. So we have rice noodles here. I like to use the gluten-free rice noodles in my pho. You can use soba noodles if that's what you prefer. I also have sliced white mushroom. I buy them pre-sliced because it's easier, but you can slice your own. And the last thing we're adding that's getting cooked is bok choy. I love bok choy. It's a nice way to get greens in here. And when you slice it really thin, it gets to cook a bit in our broth. So I'm just gonna slice this really thin. You could shred it as well if you have a mandolin or through a food processor, whatever you would like. Okay, so that is ready to go, and I can hear my broth is bubbling. So I'm gonna take this top off. Oh, it's so hot. And I'm gonna throw these in. And these noodles cook pretty quickly, so I'm only gonna have it in there for about 6 minutes until the noodles are soft. So the mushrooms go in, oop, little stragglers there. And lastly, our noodles. So in 6 minutes, we'll be ready to top our pho with delicious ingredients that will add even more flavor. So when your broth is done and the noodles are hot, you have this delicious steaming bowl, but we're not done yet, we're gonna top it. I like to top mine with some green onions. Oops, that one came with me. Because they add a really nice kind of flavor to it. You get more of that delicious onion flavor. So I chop a few up here and just sprinkle them on top for a little bit of freshness. I also love adding more herbs, more spices, more herbs. I like to do it by hand, and I just have some basil here, and I'm just gonna tear it and throw it on top. Oops, this is mint, but I'm actually gonna add basil and mint. So I've got some mint. It's so refreshing, light, and really adds nice depth to this dish. And then we're adding some basil. Now, ideally you wanna be adding Thai basil, but that one is really hard to find. I couldn't find it this time of year, so I'm just using regular basil, and it's equally, well, maybe not equally as delicious, but it's still really delicious. If you can find Thai basil, definitely use it in this recipe. Okay, so we've got our mint in there and our basil. And the last thing I like to do is a squeeze of lime. So I like to serve this with lime on the side because I think it looks really pretty, and then guests can decide how much they would like to squeeze in, depending on how much acidity they like in their dish. So about a half a lime, and just give it a little squeeze. And then once you have this is when I like to bring it to the table, and I let people add whatever condiments they like. If someone likes hot sauce, they can throw hot sauce on there. If they like it saltier, they can add soy sauce or hoisin sauce. Really, whatever sauces you love, you can add to this dish, but it's fantastic as it is. I hope you guys enjoy my Chaga Infused vegan pho recipe, and make sure that you save those chaga chunks that you put in there, because you can use them again. You can get all of those awesome antioxidant benefits, the beta-glucan and the adaptogenic benefits from those chunks in this delicious pho. Bye guys!